Anne, why did you go to British Columbia in the first place?
Well, my friend Christine and I were on our way to a remote ski lodge. I'm an outdoor enthusiast and a good skier, and I was thinking of working at the lodge as a cook for the winter season. My real intention was to see if the wild, untamed location was right for me. So I decided to hike to the interview, rather than take the usual helicopter ride in, and Christine had come along for the adventure. We drove off the highway onto a steep dirt road in the mountainous area of Revelstoke, and we parked my four-wheel drive vehicle by the trail entrance. We knew it would be a 6-hour hike up the mountain and across a glacier to the lodge.
And did you realize that there were bears in the mountains?
Oh, yes. I'd even strapped a can of bear repellent to a holster on my hip, just in case. It had been given to me by a company I'd done some field work for in the past. I'd never used it, but I knew we'd be crossing creeks where bears were known to feed. The hike began well enough. It was a slow, uphill stroll through coniferous mountain forest. But then it started to rain, and despite our wet weather gear, we were soon drenched to the skin. Eventually, the trail narrowed into a thin, overgrown path through steep and rocky terrain. We crawled over large rocks and jumped across shallow creeks.
So, what happened next?
Well, along the way, we were talking loudly to alert the bears to our presence. We spotted bear droppings, and we noticed that there were no berries anywhere around. It occurred to me that the bears must be having a hard time finding food. About 3 hours into our journey, we climbed over a ridge and came to an alpine meadow above the tree line. The view was spectacular. Through a low-lying fog, the land glowed with the changing colors of early autumn. Then, suddenly, we spotted them. A grizzly and her 2 cubs were about 200 meters away.
You must have been terrified.
Actually, I wasn't frightened at the time. I'd lived in bear country, and I knew that unless they're surprised, they run away from humans. But not this time. It took us a few moments to realize that the bears were running towards us. There were no trees to climb, so we had limited options. I told Christine not to run. I remembered that if you run, bears think you're easy prey. We walked down a bank out of sight of the grizzly, but we knew it was in vain. Then I remembered the bear spray. I unlatched it from its holster and pulled back the safety clip. The bank blocked our view as we waited. Then I noticed the bear's head rearing up over the ridge. I knew I had only one chance to do it right, so I waited until the very last minute and then pressed the trigger. The bear reeled as the spray hit its target, and it ran right past us both. I had only one thought on my mind: let's get out of here. We were soaking wet and really shaken by the encounter. Then I remembered the owners of the lodge. They had said they might hike down the trail and meet us. If we didn't show up, the owners might actually walk as far as the meadow and run into the bears themselves.
I'm not sure if I would have managed to think so clearly in a situation like that.
We tried to work out what to do. The way to the lodge was uphill across a glacier, and neither of us wanted to walk back into the meadow, so we started to hike back to our vehicle. I lost my footing at one stage and slipped down the rock side. We were exhausted. At one stage, we wondered if we'd ever get back at all. But eventually, we made it and started to drive very carefully down the winding mountain road. Just before we got to the main road, I saw a man cutting wood. We stopped the car and almost fell into his arms. When we told him what had happened, he laughed in disbelief. But he soon realized that we'd had a lucky escape.
And what about the job at the ski lodge?
Now, that's an interesting question. I accepted it, and while I was working there, I met a man from Colorado, whom I'm now planning to marry.
Oh.